I feel certain our next speaker guessed right on this one. Graciela Madrigal grew up in a home where both Spanish and English were spoken, but she actually didn't become fluent and literate in Spanish until she went to college. Graciela got her BA in K-8 education with a concentration in bilingual education. Today, she's the director of ECAP in Granger, Washington. She drove up this morning from the Yakima Valley to be with us this afternoon and to talk with us about what a difference books are making for the students and families at her school. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Graciela Madrigal.
Thank you for the introduction, Brian. I am so grateful to Page Ahead for asking me to be among all of you today. I am beyond honored. Estoy muy agradecida por estar invitada, por estar con todos ustedes. Es un honor. As I made the drive this morning over the pass, I got a little nervous, un poquito. But then I realized we're all here because we care about children, and we want them to have access to books and fall in love with reading. So I am among friends. I work with 3- and 4-year-olds, so I hope you don't mind if I tell you a story. It's about a little girl. She's the oldest daughter of migrant farm worker parents. Her family makes their way from Texas to Washington to work cutting asparagus. And the work is steady, and they decide to stay. She starts first grade at Granger Elementary. She falls in love with reading. She takes her books everywhere with her. She reads in the car on the endless drive back to Texas to visit family. It is a way to escape, even for a moment. As she grows up, she thinks about what she wants to do. She knows she doesn't want to cut asparagus. That's hard. So she thinks she will be a secretary because it sounds glamorous. She takes advantage of a program offer to help young people and gets an internship doing data entry, which is when she realized that is not the career for her. So the staff at SL Start knows she's in Granger, and there's a job there as a teacher assistant at Head Start. She goes on her first job interview ever. But she goes in, does the interview, learns about the job, and thinks, I can do that. And at 18, that is how I got my start in this wonderful career I love, serving children and families. It turns out I really can do that. Today, I am the ECAP director in Granger. ECAP is Washington State's version of Head Start. Our school serves 80 students, and about 30% of them start off as monolingual Spanish speakers. Another 48% are dual language learners, English and Spanish. My team and I support the multilingual learner by embracing the family's language, learning as much as we can about their traditions and culture, and respecting and celebrating similarities and differences. My goal is to expose kids to the English language. We use Spanish as a support language. All my staff speak Spanish and English. Unos un poquito, otros un poquito más. It is important. It's much easier for children to acquire a new language when there is support in their home language. This is so different from when I started. One of my very first assignments was as a paraprofessional in a kindergarten classroom where we had a newcomer, which is what we call children who were new to the country, new to the culture, new to the language. And I just remember that child's face and how they were so lost, and they were being taught and expected to read in English. It was that kind of experience that led me to get more education. I felt I owed it to students like that to be able to help them. I went to Heritage University in Toppenish and got a degree in education with a concentration in bilingual education. Today, I am working on my third master's, this time, in early childhood special education. Learning reminds me of my purpose and how powerful education can be. At my preschool, we have 3 classrooms. Each classroom has an ECAP lead and 2 support staff. It's all inquiry-based learning using creative curriculum. All classrooms currently are studying the water study. Just 2 weeks ago, I had the privilege of taking a video clip for quality with one of my teachers, who happens to be in the audience today. And I just got the report yesterday that 16 of her interactions with children were at an advanced stage. So, awesome. As an ECAP director, we accept students who qualify for our program. The qualification is set at the state median income. So to be eligible, a family of 4 would need to be making $39,481 or less. $39,000. Can you imagine trying to raise a family of 4 on that? 29% of our children currently enrolled are on an IEP for language and communication. That is incredibly high. These 3 and 4-year-olds were born during the pandemic. My goal is to gift them with as many experiences as possible that include literacy. One of my biggest motivators as an educator has always been around language and literacy. I often see myself in the faces of the students and families I serve. The economic status of a child shouldn't prevent them from having books at home, because as a child, how are you going to become a reader? How are you going to see yourself as a reader without books? And that is why I am so happy to see all of you supporting Page Ahead. I consider Page Ahead a huge part of our success. My love affair with Page Ahead, and I do mean love affair, began 20 years ago. Yes, that is when we started. When we started, we were doing a program together called Reading is Fundamental. Who remembers Reading is Fundamental? Well, that was great. But then in 2017, Page Ahead asked if Granger was interested in being part of a pilot project called Story Leaders. Of course, I said yes. Story Leaders follows the science of reading for emergent readers. Once a month, we start a new book in our classroom. Teachers will read this book in a special way. Story Leaders is built in to our schedule. Once a week, we break into small groups as we speak. The current book we are reading, Are You Ready to Go Outside? My teachers have their handy-dandy read and say planning worksheet. The first read will have questions like, what do you see on the cover? What is happening in these illustrations? What is your favorite way to play outside? At the end of the month, every child gets a copy of that book that they've been reading in class from Page Ahead to take home and keep. By the end of the school year, they have 8 books they've learned at school, and now they have for their home libraries. This is what I love about Page Ahead. Everyone is treated the same. Everyone gets books and has book access at home. That consistency, regularly getting new books, it is planting the seed for the love of reading. We instill in our students, you are a reader. We model our love of reading and our enthusiasm with them. And our students love getting their books. Kids look forward to getting their books. They are theirs. Parents love that their children can read to them the stories. The selection of books is really well thought out, too. I have my personal favorite here. Pete the cat. He is one cool cat. And many of the books we receive also come in Spanish, which is so great for my community. It really helps those parents who only read in Spanish. And it is great for our students as well. Learning to read in Spanish is still reading. We have so much research now. You aren't going to hurt children by speaking and reading to them in another language. You are giving them a gift. Being multilingual is a superpower. I want to talk about the other reason why these books from Page Ahead are so important. In my community, access to books is not so simple. There is no Barnes & Noble in Granger, Washington. Page Ahead has been a great partner to us. Even during COVID, when things were terrible, it was the one thing that saved us during COVID. When we shut down, my teachers didn't even have laptops. Eventually, we got some, and iPads for families, but it took time. Page Ahead was the strongest connection with our families. Those books and those stories were the glue for us. We sent home resources, we recorded ourselves reading the story leaders' books, and put them on Class Dojo. Inherently, all parents want their children to succeed. The families at our school, they want great things for our children. Sometimes you just need some help to get there. We all have gotten help at one point or another. I know I have taken advantage of programs to help me get where I am today. It makes me happy to see you all here. Knowing that what brings us together is the desire to help children. We all want them to fall in love with reading. And by supporting Page Ahead and working together, we can do that. Thank you. Muchas gracias.